WBTV is following breaking news now at 2 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Maddie Gardner. Thank you for being with us today. Mecklenburg County's emergency management team is holding a news conference this hour. They're going to be talking about those conditions going downhill fast from the ongoing threat of ice from the winter storm. WBTV News has been with you all day, helping you step by step to keep you safe and informed during the winter storm. Now, as we wait on that press conference with Mecklenburg County, let's get an update on conditions from our first alert weather team. We'll start with meteorologist Rachel Coulter. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, that's right. Yes, we have been monitoring this storm not only all morning long, but we've been forecasting this almost for about a week now, and it's finally here. And it's been a very, very active day so far. And what you see on your screen, I've got radar and temperatures on top of each other. It's very much so playing an important role in what types of precipitation that we're seeing across the area. So where you have blue, that's snow, purple, that's sleet, and of course we've got some of that freezing rain as well. And of course, I'm going to pass it back on to you, Maddie. It sounds like we have an update.
Yes, Mecklenburg County presser beginning right now. Rachel, thank you so much. So we are going to check in now to get an update from the county.
All right, TV studio, we are good to go. All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hannah Brown. I'm with Charlotte Mecklenburg Emergency Management. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are going to talk about a number of updates regarding Winter Storm Izzy. So just a quick rundown of what we're doing today. We will open it up with a brief weather update from Bill Martin with National Weather Service. I will cover some emergency shelter updates, and then we will hear updates from Division Chief Robert Graham from Charlotte Mecklenburg Emergency Management, Division Chief Ruben Fitzgerald from the Charlotte Fire Department, Major David Robinson with Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, and Grace Nelson with Medic. At that time, we will then take your questions. Thanks so much, and I'm going to pass it over to Bill with the weather update.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. This significant winter storm that we're currently in the middle of is beginning to lift out of the Charlotte metro area. As it does so, the winds will begin to decline and precipitation amounts will begin to taper off. We are currently getting light to moderate freezing rain around the Charlotte area, which will continue until near nightfall. And additional accumulations of freezing rain from the system as it pulls out will probably be less than 1/10 of an inch or so, which is certainly enough to cause significant traffic difficulties. And overnight, temperatures are expected to be below freezing with potential ice on the roadways as well. Melting may take a day or two since it will be sunny, but not particularly warm on Monday. And that's all I have. I'll get back to Hannah.
All right, thank you, Bill, very much for that update. I will now address our emergency shelter activations. As you may have seen, we are working with the American Red Cross in the town of Matthews to activate emergency shelters. The Shelter Task Force, which is made up of City of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County departments, as well as the American Red Cross and a number of other partners, they've been working diligently over the last couple of days and have plans in place to be able to provide for the sheltering needs in the community when it comes to emergencies. These plans are designed to be flexible so that we can best meet the needs of the community. So we are continuing to assess the conditions and the need for these shelters, and we will keep them open in accordance with those conditions. The 4 shelters that are opening are the Cruise Recreation Center in Matthews, which opened at noon, so those doors are open. And then at 4 p.m., we will have Hopewell High School, Mallard Creek High School, and the Worrell building of Central Piedmont Central Campus. So those 4 shelters will be open. And again, we'll be assessing conditions throughout the afternoon, evening, and into tomorrow to determine the needs for those shelters. For anyone who might be traveling to the shelter, first and foremost, we do want to reiterate that the road conditions are poor right now. So take extreme caution if you are going to one of those shelters. If you do plan to go to a shelter, we ask that you bring the following items: clothing and toiletries, sleeping bags and blankets, warm clothing, specific snacks or food that you might want, medications, your phone and a charger, and maybe books or some small entertainment items. And if you do have pets and you're coming to one of these shelters, we encourage you not to leave your pets behind. The shelters are able to accommodate pets and their needs. And we also would like to note that COVID-19 precautions are in place at all of these shelters. And if you are to attend a shelter, you will be required to wear a mask. So that is all I have for shelter updates at this time. I will now pass it over to Division Chief Robert Graham for additional updates from the Emergency Operations Center. Graham.
Good afternoon, everybody. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Emergency Operations Center was staffed overnight and continues to be staffed today, and we'll assess for tonight's operations and tomorrow. We are closely monitoring the conditions, but also working with our truly, it's a cast of hundreds that work on all of our different, as agency representatives for all of our different groups that make up our emergency management program and community. City of Charlotte crews are continuing to treat roads and have been plowing as needed. We continue to ask motorists to stay off the roads, and this is really important. I'm so thrilled when I came into work this morning that the roads were relatively free of traffic, except for essential personnel, and we continue to see that. So thank you for our media for getting the word out, but also thank you to our public for really helping us out there. And so that is a concern today. It'll be a concern overnight as we continue to see icing conditions. No significant reports of downed trees as of now, and that is per City of Charlotte Landscape Management, which is here in the Emergency Operations Center with us. No power outages at what we call kicker sites, critical infrastructure sites. And those include CFD, Charlotte Fire, and CMPD stations. Approximately 800 people are without power in Mecklenburg County at this time, and that number it's going up and down. It actually went down a little bit, but we're watching it closely to see if there are additional outages. There's primarily in southern Mecklenburg County is where we're seeing the largest impact. We will continue to see a little more freezing rain throughout the day, and ice will continue to be our main concern, particularly as we move into this evening and tomorrow morning. And again, the roads will not be in great shape, so please, if you can work from home, do so. Otherwise, try to stay off of those roads. We expect significant refreezing overnight due to low temperatures and the strong possibility of black ice tomorrow morning. I want to finish out with two things. One, I want to thank our Emergency Shelter Task Force, which is a standing task force with emergency management, for all the hard work they have done throughout this week to really put these sheltering operations together. As you can imagine, COVID has had an impact on our ability to do that, but they found a way to yes, and that's the most important thing. And secondly, and I'll end it here, I want to thank Allison Taylor, Regional Executive with Greater Carolinas. She really leads the team over there with the American Red Cross, and she has been instrumental in our ability to pull these shelters off. So I will turn it over to Division Chief Fitzgerald with the Charlotte Fire Department. Thank you guys for everything you're doing out there.
Good afternoon. As of last night at 6:00 p.m., we have called in extra personnel to staff additional units. Some of those units include brush units with four-wheel drive capability. We've also staffed an additional 2 to 3 engine companies at this time, and we can call in further if we need any. At this time, we're experiencing very normal call volume for a Sunday in January. Most of the storm-related calls that we have had so far have been traffic accidents. Several of those have been on the interstate highway, so I would reiterate what Chief Graham just mentioned. We continue to encourage everyone to stay at home and avoid getting on the roadways if possible. Also, I think it's important for the public to know that it may take emergency crews a bit longer to get to an emergency, as the fire trucks and ambulances and police units have to slow down also for the road conditions. But you can rest assured that they will be on their way. Again, take care. Encourage everyone to use caution when moving around on the ice. And I'm going to turn it over this time to Major Major David Robinson with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dave Robinson with CMPD. With respect to everything that's been said with as far as response times and safety on our roadways, I do want to remind everybody that CMPD, just like our other partners within Charlotte-Mecklenburg Emergency Management, are fully operational. Our men and women are doing a great job to deliver service at the highest level as we do 24/7, 365. No matter what the conditions are, we will always meet that need and strive to meet the community's needs in that way. I would like to remind everybody, if you do see a blue light or red light or a medic truck or a fire truck or a police car anywhere on the roadway, to please slow down and to move over, obviously for the safety of the men and women out doing work. The wrecks, the crashes that we've had in the past since midnight early this morning, we're at 41 crashes so far. 25 of those have been property damage only. 16 of those have involved personal injury. That's about typical for a normal weekday, so a little high for obviously for the weekend. But to echo, I believe, Chief Graham's point, we do appreciate people staying off the roadways, heeding those warnings, and certainly allowing our DOT trucks to do their jobs and to clear those roadways. As far as using 911, we would please encourage folks to, we are fully staffed in 911 in our communications bureau, just like on the streets, but we would encourage people to reserve those for actual emergencies when that is appropriate. So that will conclude my time. I appreciate everybody being here and getting the word out for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Robinson. At this time, we will go to Grace Nelson with Medic.
Good afternoon. Just a quick report from Medic. Since 4 a.m., we've had about 11 transports for traffic accident calls. That is thankfully not a large increase from what we typically see. Obviously, we remain concerned about road conditions, particularly in the overnight hours ahead. So to prepare for that, we have implemented a temporary closest destination protocol. What this means is that if clinically appropriate, a patient will be transported to the closest emergency department within the network of their choice. And what this does is just allow us to limit the amount of time on roads and gives us the ability to be available for the next call faster. And this can be turned on and off throughout the day as needed. Lastly, we just like to emphasize again what everybody else has already said, the importance of staying off the roads and calling 911 only with most life-threatening emergencies. Cardiac arrest, strokes, COVID patients, they do not stop during winter storms, so please stay off the roads and help us get to our most critical patients as fast as we can. Back to you, Hannah.
All right, thank you so much, Grace. At this time, we will go ahead and open the floor for questions.
Reporters, if you will, please utilize the raise my hand feature. That'll indicate that you have a question, and we will call on you. Our first question will go to Vanessa Rufus. Vanessa, go ahead with your question when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks so much for taking my question. I did have one that would pertain to COVID-19. How is COVID impacting the ability to respond to all of the calls needed? And also for folks who would be going to emergency shelters, what do they need to know about staying COVID safe?
All right, so Vanessa, that's a good question. Just two-part question. First, for us in emergency management, as we were, getting ready for the storm. Now, we've been doing this for a while, right? So going all the way back to the beginning of 2020, when we had some technology, but not as good as it is today. So because of I'm sure you're the same way, been forced to go to so many virtual meetings, we've really upped our ability to reach out and have meetings virtually. So for instance, today I probably got 10 or 12 briefings and meetings with different groups. Yesterday, I think I had 10. The day before that, I had 13. And so that really has really elevated our ability to reach all the different partners that we need to reach and really communicate with everybody in a much better way before COVID, because before COVID, we might do a WebEx, but chances were that we were going to do it on a conference call or try to do it in person. So for the Emergency Operations Center here today, we probably have 20-ish folks are actually working in the center, but we probably have over 100 that are working the incident remotely. And so that is really, it's a good thing that's come out of really a bad situation with the pandemic. For our shelters, and I don't have the specifics on it, but I know that Mecklenburg County Public Health has been on every call with us, and they've been working to ensure that we have a COVID, an environment within the shelters that is acceptable to public health and that they feel comfortable with. So, and as you guys know, as we've gone through this pandemic, there's never a perfect solution, but we try to find the best one possible that we can.
Our next question will go to WBTV reporter David Hodges. David, go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Corey. For the first responders, taking a look at history, how does it impact your response if there do indeed end up being widespread power outages? Does that impact response time? And additionally, what do you want people to know about calling 911 if there are widespread power outages across the city?
So I think I understand your question. You're asking, David, do we look at previous storms and try to figure out how to adjust for this storm, right? So every storm, and Bill will tell you, our meteorologist here today, every single storm is different. And so it's difficult to say we're going to do it exactly how we did it in the past. The other thing that's changed is obviously the county has grown in population. Our infrastructure is different. But for every major event, we conduct what they call a hot wash. And so we'll immediately sit down and say, okay, what are the things that we learned from this event? And what are the things that we can then apply down the road? And so I think that's important. What was the second part of your question, David? I missed it.
Is there any different change in response times or what people can expect if there are widespread power outages? Say, for instance, do more people end up calling 911 if you have thousands of people without power? Does that impact medic, fire, police's ability to respond if you've got a large percentage of the city that does not have power?
Yeah, so today we have not had that problem. And it's hard, I don't like to get into too many hypotheticals. One of the things I will say is 311 is a tremendous help to us because it really takes a burden off of us for the calls that don't require a 911 response. Now, there's nothing that we can do about the road conditions. It is going to take a little bit longer to get emergency apparatus on scene, and just because they're traveling in a safe manner. There's not like a set amount of time that's going to take in addition to. But I do want to highlight 311. So you talk about public servants. And the other day we called 311 and we said, hey, we need to discuss you guys being open over this holiday weekend where typically they would not be open. And they were the first ones to say, we will be open and we're here to support. And so I think that was one of the highlights of my day because there's always a lot of challenges, but 311 absolutely stepped up to the plate. And that is a fantastic example of public servants and a public servant heart. Thank you, David.
David, your hand is still up. It's the only one that's up. So if you have a follow-up question, you can go ahead and ask it.
I'm set. Thank you guys for your service, and hoping that we can check back in later, but hopefully the conditions stay the same.
Okay, thank you, David. We'll go back over to Vanessa Rufus. Vanessa, go ahead with your question.
Hi. So it sounds like, based on your forecasting, we could be dealing with some ice for a couple days. So do people need to be planning for that? I know a lot of folks are already off because it's Sunday, but come Monday, what do people need to be thinking about?
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa. So absolutely, we do want people to be aware that that is still going to be a challenge. As we heard, the freezing rain was started a couple hours later than we expected today, so that's helpful. But we are going to see low temperatures tonight, and so that potential for refreeze and black ice is certainly going to be a concern tomorrow. So even though it won't be necessarily actively snowing or having freezing rain, we want people to be aware of that risk. And if you are going to be on the roads, to continue to take those extra precautions and be slow on the roads. And again, if you don't have to be out, then stay at home.
Last call for questions. Okay, Hannah, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Corey. At this time, that's all the updates that we have. We will continue to provide updates, particularly around the sheltering situation. And if you have further questions, you can always reach out to me in the Emergency Operations Center. And thanks again for your time, and have a great day.
And we were just listening in to an update from Charlotte-Mecklenburg Emergency Services. They're giving us a real look at what's going on so far, their response and preparations to the winter storm. And right now they're saying it is manageable, and they're applauding people for staying off of the roads. We saw several live looks at the roads throughout Mecklenburg County. They don't look too great right now, but we heard from police, fire, and medic all saying that their responses and their calls have been relatively normal, maybe a little bit more for a weekend, but they are able to respond right now. They are monitoring power outages. They said that they are concerned as the ice continues to build up that we will see more. Right now, most of those power outages are concentrated in southern Mecklenburg County. They're also worried about the roads refreezing overnight and once again encouraging people to stay off the roads. They did say that they have opened up 4 emergency shelters in Matthews, at Hopewell High School, Mallard Creek High School, as well as Central Piedmont Community College. They're the central campus, I should say, and they're encouraging people, if they do lose power, to come there and seek shelter. I want to check in now with meteorologist Rachel Coulter. Rachel, what are conditions looking like right now, and what should we expect throughout the day?
Yeah, that's right. We are still seeing a mix of precipitation across the area. You can see in the blue, that's where we still have that snowfall in our northwestern counties, and we have that changeover to some sleet and some freezing rain from the foothills down through the Charlotte metro, even a little bit of rain off to the south and east, temperatures just above freezing in our far southeastern counties. But I've got this looped over the past 6 hours, but it's been about 12 hours now that we've been dealing with ongoing wintry precipitation. So this is what that means for the roadways. I've got a couple of views I want to show you, especially for just now tuning in, to give you a perspective of what we're seeing across the area. I actually was watching this tower cam not too long ago. This is the town of Belmont, and you can see the roadways looking pretty rough. A police officer driving there, making sure everything's okay. But around this intersection, I saw someone spin out as they were taking a left. So definitely bad road conditions out that way. This view here, this is out towards I-85 in Statesville, and not too far from this perspective is where I just saw a report of an accident from someone spinning out, some congestion out that way as well. So we definitely want to take it easy, and you can kind of see that precipitation frozen on the lens, indicating of course that we have that freezing rain potential in addition to all of that sleet and even early morning snow that we have on the roadways, and that's just going to make things even slicker. So when you have that zoomed out view, you've got accidents layered on there, and of course you can see the road conditions as well. All of that yellow and orange is indicating those speeds that are very, very slow out on the area interstates and roads. Makes sense given all those conditions that I just showed you. And you can see here where you see in pink, that's where we have icy roadways. The white out towards the north and west, still seeing snowy conditions out towards Boone and Linville, some of our mountain and foothill counties, and then to the south and east out towards Lancaster and our southeastern counties, where we saw a lot of that ice so far this morning. Seeing some of that rain at this point. Let's zoom in a little bit closer, and I'll zoom in across the Charlotte metro area and a couple other towns to show you perspectives from the highways as well. So where we have that accident reported, that's out towards the Brookshire Freeway, or I-277 and I-77. That's the view there right up against uptown Charlotte. And you can see on your screen, the roads look okay from this perspective, and some roads do look like that, but remember, we're still seeing freezing rain. So what you can't see is that icing that's ongoing. We definitely need to make sure that we're being cautious. Even if it seems like it's okay, we still have icy roadways out there. And of course, you still have some more of the snow, sleet covered roadways the farther north you go. So for perspective, that's Lake Norman in there. There's I-77, and that view on I-77, it's right out towards Cornelius. Another view that's been pretty impacted, of course, by all of this wintry weather. This is I-85 out towards Salisbury, and we're still seeing a slow go on the roadways there. And this is what they had mentioned, and I'm glad that this is the case. I'm not seeing a ton of cars out there, so it's really good that everyone's heeding the warning just to go ahead and stay home if you can. That's still going to be a good call, especially given how much ice, but also how much snow we had. Looking at some of these snow reports, this is since last night. Meteorologist Lee Brock had updated this a couple of hours ago. I went back in and put in some of the new reports as well. One of those new reports coming out of Ashe County in the Idlewild area, 6 inches of snow there, certainly mountains, foothills seeing most of the snow. 7 inches in Burke County, Watauga County, out towards the town of Todd, seeing about 6.5 inches of snow there. Blowing Rock in Watauga County, about 5.5 inches. And I would imagine as the snow continues to fall in our mountain counties, those numbers continue to go up. And in terms of what we're seeing on radar, meteorologist Alicia Wilson has more details, and especially on this forecast and what we can expect to come through the rest of our Sunday.
That's right. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, we've been tracking this system all week long, and now we're into the thick of it. We're not done yet. We still have to deal with more of a wintry mix across most of the area, and also some snow in the mountains and the foothills. So we're going to continue to see that precipitation as we head towards this afternoon, and temperatures hovering very briefly right above the freezing mark, right around the 4 o'clock hour. You can see that we're going to be dealing with a bit of a wintry mix, some freezing rain, some snow. Then later on tonight, it's going to become more widely scattered. So we're not done yet with this winter storm. There's a live look now with our sky cam in Charlotte, and you can see that it's raining, but as it hits the ground, it's going to be freezing. So some freezing rain, that's what we're dealing with at this time. A current temperature of 33. It's kind of just a big slushy mess out there on the roadways. The winds now, they're out of the east-northeast at 14 miles per hour, and we're continuing to see those temperatures start to drop a little bit, especially once you get into places like Statesville and Lincolnton, where the temperatures are into the mid to upper 20s right now. 27, though, in Wilkesboro, and it's farther towards the south and east that we're still into the lower 30s. So we're going to start to see that warm nose pushing in later on this afternoon, especially as we get some of that warmer air pushing in the mid levels and the upper levels of the atmosphere. So we'll briefly push into the mid 30s before temperatures begin to fall again later on tonight. Here's the current position of the area of low pressure. It's now working its way into East Alabama and parts of West Georgia. They're getting reports now of snow in Atlanta. That's not something that you see very often at all. And of course, for us, we're continuing to deal with that wintry mix, especially across the Charlotte metro area. Farther south, that warm nose is already starting to push in right now. So we're getting that report of rain from Lancaster a little bit farther over towards the east as well. We'll take you a little bit, zoom in now a little bit more, and you can see that it's a light rainfall that we're seeing. Once you get into Indian land, it's more of that freezing rain, even some sleet mixing in at times. And farther north where it's colder, there's actually some snow mixing in, but most of the snow continues to be across the mountains and the foothills, of course, and that's going to be the case as we go throughout the rest of this afternoon and tonight. So looking at the big picture again, we're not done yet. We still have about 6 to 8 hours of dealing with this wintry precipitation. Then later on tonight, if anything that's out there or left behind, it's going to be freezing over. Let's take you through future forecasts here real quick. Here we are right around the 2-3 o'clock hour. You notice how the colder air starts to wrap back around with the counterclockwise motion of that area of low pressure. We start to get the winds shifting to out of the northwest. That's going to switch the precipitation type back over to snow. So here we are at 5 o'clock. You'll see some scattered snow showers in and around Mecklenburg County, farther towards the north once you get into Lenoir, also Ashe, Watauga County, Avery County. So you're going to be holding on to some snow showers right on through 7 o'clock this evening, and you won't be done yet. So the snow will quickly taper off for most of the Charlotte metro area, but we'll see those snow showers really holding on through the overnight hours into early Monday morning. But for now, we're going to send it back over to Maddie.
Alicia, thank you so much. Let's get back to those emergency shelters that we heard county leaders talking about in the press conference. They are now activated in Mecklenburg County. Here is a list of those 4 shelters. Cruz Recreation Center in Matthews is now open. This is for anyone who needs a roof or a place to get warm, especially if your power goes out. Other sites include Hopewell High School, Mallard Creek High School, and the Worrell Building at Central Piedmont. And those last 3 are all set to open this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So if you are heading to a shelter, you're asked to bring clothes and toiletries along with an extra sleeping bag and blankets. Also pack some snacks and, of course, your medication. If you bring your cell phone, bring your charger, and they're also encouraging you to bring a book or a small entertainment item. Well, we're talking about the Charlotte area, especially the metro area, still seeing sleet and ice this afternoon. WBTV's Courtney Cole has been out in this all morning. Courtney, you're now at Marshall Park. What are you seeing now?
Good afternoon. I moved locations. I'm over here now at Queens University. I want to go ahead and talk about some of that freezing rain that Alicia and Rachel told us about earlier. I've been watching it fall for the last hour. We went from sleet to what looked like rain, but then I started looking at these limbs. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. It looks like they're just wet, but I've started to notice even icicles starting to form. And if we shake it, it's not easily coming off at that point. That goes back to that science lesson we heard earlier. It looks like regular rain, but once it hits a solid surface, it starts to freeze, and that's the problem we're running into here. I'm going to go ahead and show you the ground. What we once saw was white, fluffy snow. It's now becoming a lot more translucent as the precipitation starts to fall from the sky. See our footprints that were here earlier. They're getting covered, but it's very, very crunchy. It's a little bit harder to get through at this point than it was earlier. And the issue with that is the roads. The roads right behind me here at Queens University, they're slushy, they're nasty, it's a mess. Like I tried to say earlier, it's almost like what you get from 7-Eleven. Not clear at all. We see some little bit of tracks from where people were driving at earlier, but it is still very slick. We made sure to drive no more than 15 miles an hour on our way over here because any fast movements or sudden braking, it's going to be a problem. And of course, we don't want that. We've heard that from officials all morning and afternoon. Limit your travel to essential travel. Drive slowly. Don't be in a rush to get anywhere. It's been very quiet. We've seen a couple students walking around campus, but right now we're just seeing that rain starting to fall from the sky. No more of the sleet that we saw the last few hours. Roads still not very clear. Even puddles near the campus starting to freeze over just a tad bit as that freezing rain comes down and solidifies over the snow. We're going to keep an eye out over here at Queens University of Charlotte. For now, I'm going to toss it back to you all in the studio. Reporting live in Charlotte, Courtney Cole, WBTV, on your side.
Yeah, Courtney, thank you so much. Those tree limbs certainly make you pause because if you get a 1/4 inch of ice, those can start falling down and take out power lines. If you do lose power, make sure you have the WBTV First Alert app. It's a great place to stream WBTV Live wherever you are. Make sure your phones are charged. You can also get the live Doppler radar in the palm of your hand. You can zoom in and see exactly what's happening in your neighborhood. Download it on your smart device now. Back here in Charlotte, we know that this winter storm is impacting flights at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. We're giving you a live look now. You can see the runways are being cleared, but unfortunately not quick enough for those flights to take off. They're now affecting some passengers who were trying to get out of Charlotte today. They are stranded waiting for the storm to clear. One man says he's now tried to reschedule a flight out of Charlotte multiple times.
Tried to get a few extra flights. I had one for tomorrow morning. That one was canceled too. So I switched to tomorrow afternoon, and hopefully that one isn't canceled.
What a headache. Like we said, we've seen a majority of flights coming in or out of Charlotte. They have now been canceled. You look at that status board and it just gives you a headache. For more on the information about the status of a certain flight, you can check in with the airline. We are seeing some slick weather conditions in both North and South Carolina. WBTV's Brandon Hamilton is live now from I-77 right out the North Carolina-South Carolina state line. Brandon, what have you seen?
Yeah, Maddie, we're here facing the southbound lanes and here at the Welcome Center in Fort Mill. So you're taking a live look right now. Again, those southbound lanes headed towards Rock Hill, and the other side, the northbound lanes headed towards Charlotte. So thankfully, seems like a lot of drivers have taken that advice and just to simply stay off the road. Now, again, if you have to get on the road, emergencies, drive slow because you are seeing what looks like a perfect highway right now, but that is because we've seen trucks coming in and out, getting that snow and ice off of the roads. But within these past couple minutes, we've seen, as Rachel and Alicia alluded to, that wintry mix of the sleet, of the rain starting to come in. So again, while these conditions may look good for driving, you still want to stay off of those roads because, again, coming down here to South Carolina, we were in Rock Hill a couple minutes ago. We saw a couple of accidents, cars on the side of the road. So again, these are wet conditions, so you want to take it safe. If you do not have to go anywhere, please stay home. And of course, we will keep you updated on those road conditions right here, of course, on air and on WBTV.com here in South Carolina. We're live at Fort Mill at the Welcome Center. I'm Brandon Hamilton, WBTV, on your side.
Brandon, thank you for that update. We want to go back now to the North Carolina high country because, goodness, isn't this beautiful, incredible drone video from Boone? This is thanks to Jeff Beeson, who shared it with us today. It really does look gorgeous from above as that snow came through Boone this morning. I know a lot of people were happy to see that falling down. App State as well. You can see the Convocation Center there. It looks gorgeous this morning. Thank you again to Jeff for sending that in because you just zone out there for a little bit. You forget the mess that's on the ground. Now, near Boone, of course, is Blowing Rock. They saw several inches of snowfall today. WBTV's Ron Lee is there now. So, Ron, can you tell us what you're seeing in Blowing Rock?
Yeah, that drone footage may be beautiful from the air, but it is certainly very raw down here on the ground. We've measured about 6 inches of snowfall as we speak. Now, people are heeding the warning mostly to stay off the roadways, but there are still a lot of people trying to traverse it. The snow actually started coming down about 2:30 this morning, and we at the hotel here were woken up to spinning tires as people were trying to make their way out of here. Just a few minutes ago, there was a large truck that was trying to get an Infinity out of a ditch and up the hill from where we are, trying to get him back on the roadway. It took literally a half an hour, and that truck driver told me he doesn't know how that Infinity driver is going to make it in that type of car. It is a very risky situation for drivers out here right now. The snow this morning falling from the sky has been replaced by these little ice pellets, these little stinging ice pellets. So it's less beautiful and more hurtful at this point. But people are still having a good time, even though at the hotel that I'm staying at tonight, a lot of people are stranded because we can't get out. We're waiting for snowplows to get over here and clear the roadway where we are. But so far, they are so busy, they haven't gotten a chance to get over here and service this area. I did talk to one father about an hour ago who was actually teaching his kids to ski in the parking lot here at the Holiday Inn Express. They were supposed to go up to Appalachian Trail and ski that area, but he said when he got up here, they spent the night hoping to get up here in the morning and just could not make it in the car they were in. The snow was just too heavy, too dangerous. So he and his two kids were busy skiing down the parking lot down here. So they're having a great time. Right over here to my right-hand side, I see some people over here with a tube. We may have some snow tubing here soon. So it's all just give and take. Don't get out on the roadways. It's very dangerous. But if you get into a safe spot, it's nice and fun. In Boone, I'm Ron Lee, WBTV, on your side.
Ron, thank you so much. It does look a little chilly out there, so we appreciate your live report. We want to check in now with WBTV's David Hodges. He is in Charlotte. And David, I heard you moments ago on the Mecklenburg County Emergency Management call. So you have some new information for us, and what are you seeing in Charlotte this afternoon?
I would say overall their tone is somewhat optimistic, but they're making sure they're prepared for every possible scenario. They are opening those shelters, as we just talked about as well. And they're saying that right now the roads are not in good condition. But as I've seen, as they saw early this morning, there's not that many people out driving, which is just great for the emergency crews and first responders. Been about 40 crashes since midnight, 16 of those having injuries. That's about the same amount as a normal weekday, a little bit higher than average for a weekend. So as long as people stay off the roads, that should keep people safe. Now, the thing that they're really watching is how this weather is going to continue to evolve. I actually had to change pants earlier because when I went out this morning, I was wearing jeans because it was largely just sleeting. And then around noon, 1 o'clock, when we were talking before, it just basically started raining and I was sopping wet. So I'm trying to keep an eye out on what that's doing to the trees and to the branches. I actually just pulled this perfectly shaped leaf icicle right off of a bush over here. And this is kind of what you don't want to see. You don't want to see the ice buildup. But at the same time, on this branch right here, there's really no ice buildup whatsoever. It's just kind of wet. So that's what the emergency crews are really going to be looking out for as the weather continues to evolve. Is there going to be a refreeze? That's what they talked about. Will there be a refreeze overnight that causes some of those branches to fall, cutting off power lines, creating wide-scale power outages across the city? We're hearing about some small power outages right now. That's what they'll really be looking out for. But so far, they're pretty happy with everyone's response and just staying off the roads and staying safe. And that's what they hope to keep happening as the weather continues to evolve and change even more. Live in Ballantyne, David Hodges, WBTV, on your side.
David, thank you so much. Okay, so the winter weather, of course, we are seeing several closings. Malls in our area have decided to close their doors today. This is what we know so far from Simon Properties. Their locations in the Charlotte area are closed because of the weather. So that's Concord Mills Mall, as well as the Charlotte Premium Outlets. You've heard us talk about power outages. Duke Energy expecting plenty of power outages today as the ice continues to build up. This is a live look at what we are seeing on the Duke Energy outage map right now. I am updating the numbers for you. In Mecklenburg County, there are about 50 active outages, 4,000 people without power, 4,000 customers. In Union County, 64 active outages. So not as widespread as they were expecting at this point, but Duke Energy says they have 11,000 crews on standby, some of them stationed at Charlotte Motor Speedway, ready to respond to those outages. We have to remember they also have to wait for the storm to move through before they can start responding. And you can get the latest updates on those power outages by going to WBTV.com, not only Duke Energy, but other energy providers throughout the Carolinas. All right, we want to check in the North Carolina high country, really seeing a lot of snow in our viewing area, the most in our viewing area. And Liliana Pearson has been in Boone all morning. Liliana, I know you've had some fun up there with the snow, but now that it's starting to turn over to ice and sleet, what are the conditions like?
Yeah, so things are definitely changing right now. This is probably the least amount that we've had falling from the sky all day. I woke up around 2:30 this morning and there were some very light flurries. Now it's even lighter than it was. We did have some sleet a little while ago, and you can actually see on this car that's parked here all day, you can see how much snow has accumulated on it, but you can also see the amount of ice that's now on the side of it, that's on the window. So some of these cars that have been parked in this parking lot all day through this whole snow event, they're definitely going to have to take some time to make sure they're coming out to defrost their cars and get all the ice off of it. You can see some of the changes that we've had to the roads as well. They've been out here treating them all morning, and you can see some plows came through a short while ago, making sure that these roads are as cleared as possible. Of course, with that sleet that we've had earlier, things are going to be slippery. While we have been out here today, we've seen at least one car take a really big slide. They were able to keep going okay, and everyone else has been going nice and slow. We've also had them out here plowing sidewalks. Lots of people, it seems like, opting to walk to and from some of the businesses that are in this area with their kids and their families instead of taking their cars out, which is probably the safer option. You've been hearing it from all of us all morning long. If you don't have to be on the roads, don't be on the roads. They're gonna be slippery, especially up here in the mountains where we are getting a lot of snow. But right now, things calming down a little bit. We're kind of just hanging out to see how things progress this afternoon. In Boone, I'm Liliana Pearson, WBTV, on your side.
Liliana, thank you so much for that update. So from Boone to Hickory, we have crews stationed all across our area. Lowell Rose is in Hickory for us this afternoon. And Lowell, how are conditions looking there now?
Hey, well, as you just started speaking here, the sleet started picking up, but there was kind of a lull for the past 30 minutes or so. That sleet transition from snow made its way around the 9 o'clock hour, as you can hear it here. Now, I'm going to give you a quick look at the top of our news car. Take a look at that. That's all sleet from this morning. And just to give you a sense of how much snow we got here in Hickory, it's about 4 inches. That's before that sleet started coming down, and easily another inch of sleet that's on top of it. So it's starting to get packed here. We take a walk towards the road here. A plow hasn't been through the secondary road. It's more of cars just driving by. It's packing down the stuff really good on the road. So it's a little darker, but it's not that safe. Get a look here. It's starting to feel like ice. So easily tonight, once the temperature dropped down That stuff will not be good for cars, not good for walking here. Now, right here in Hickory, we're right beside I-40. This has been amazing to watch from this morning when we first came on, showing you it was blacktop here around 5 o'clock. We saw it go from blacktop, we saw it go to snow covered, and we've seen plows come through spreading salt and shoveling that snow off the roads. And we only have one car right here on the road. So that is a good sign. What we've heard from our government officials, emergency agencies, and police, of people to please stay off the road. And it's just another one coming down. But things here, the sleet has just started to pick up. It's been heavy at times. The wind has died down, but once that wind picks up, it slaps you kind of on the face, and it's brutal if you're out here in the elements. But we'll continue to keep you updated on what happens out here. Right now, the roads are snow and sleet packed at this moment, so please stay off the roads and stay home. Reporting live in Hickory, Lowell Rose, WBTV, on your side.
Thank you so much for all of those reports. That's really helpful information from all our reporters out there, really zooming in, showing the ground cover. And you can see all the slushy ice that's out there, and anything that is not frozen at this time, remember, overnight will be. So think about your porches, think about those patios and sidewalks as you walk the dog, just those simple tasks, getting out to the car in the driveway, especially overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. That's when we're really going to continue to see those concerns. And it's been windy, as they've mentioned, which made it feel so much colder. But in addition to that, and all this wintry precip, I know we had talked about those power outages. I want to zoom out and give a broader scale, even just across North Carolina and South Carolina alone. And this is over the past 10 minutes or so. There's about 90,000 without power, respectively, in North Carolina and South Carolina alone, all thanks to all of this wintry weather that we've been seeing. Just to give you a perspective from South Carolina, that's a time-lapse view from Rock Hill. It just looks like a wintry scene out there. Things I'm focusing in on is the roadways, and you can still see that those are covered up by some of that sleet that we saw earlier this morning. Slick conditions out there, and it's cold outside. So you look at your temperatures, but I really want to factor in the winds as well, because that's allowing for a very, very cold wind chills out there, which we have heard from every single one of our reporters live on the field that they've been out there in these elements. It's 33 degrees right now in Charlotte and Rock Hill, but look at this number. This is what it's actually going to feel like the moment you step outside. Not only do you have to contend with the icy roads, but 23 degrees is that current wind chill right now out towards Charlotte, 26 in Rock Hill, Morganton feeling like 27, and it feels like 16 degrees stepping outside in Boone. So Watauga County certainly the coldest, and of course those higher elevations going to be that way for sure. We still do technically have that winter storm warning in effect for most of our counties, and that's where we have everything shaded in pink, and that ice storm warning continues for our southernmost counties, so our South Carolina counties, where ice really has been such an issue even since this morning. I do want to give you an updated look at radar. What we're seeing right now, you can see that loop over time. You see a lot of different colors on your screen. So where we have that blue, that's where we're still seeing some snowfall, that purple indicating that sleet. And when we were listening into our reporters, you could hear some of that sleet, that pinging. That's when you have the sleet. And then we have that freezing rain transitioning over to rain in our central and southeastern counties. So zooming in just a little bit closer for those of you out towards Boone, West Jefferson, Linville, Wilkesboro, all the way down towards Lenore, we're still seeing mostly snow, but a little bit of that sleet also mixing in, as we heard out there, and a little bit farther off towards the south and east. The coverage is not as impressive as what we had earlier, but certainly still seeing some of that wintry precipitation. Some freezing rain continues. We were seeing some of that ice accumulate even on the branches and the leaves, as you had just heard a couple of minutes ago, and that's what's going to be our concern heading into the rest of the evening tonight and overnight tonight. So any additional ice accumulation, of course, that is certainly going to be allowing for continued issues across the area. There's a look at that traffic map. Still pretty bad out there on the roadways, whether you saw mostly snow today, whether you saw the ice as well. And just remember that overnight tonight, those temperatures below freezing are going to allow for issues. So anything that may be okay now in those isolated areas where we're okay will refreeze into the overnight period. So definitely be careful heading out the door tonight, in the morning hours, and even the next couple of mornings. That's going to be something that we're going to have to watch for.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much. Yeah, you mentioned that refreeze possible overnight. We want to check in with Courtney Cole. She is live at Queen's University still for us this afternoon, because Courtney, you were mentioning the slushiness that you were starting to see earlier, but of course we are worried about that becoming a hard refreeze overnight again.
Good afternoon, ladies. Yes, that's right. As we've heard today, it may look like rain, but it's not once it hits that hard surface, especially the ground and the road, like you'll see here. I'm going to go ahead and pan over to this street right here. We're seeing a lot of that slushiness right now. It looks like it's pretty transparent at this point because we're seeing more of that rain come down, but once it hits the ground, it starts to freeze. Some of those water droplet piles that we're seeing look pretty liquidy, but they're starting to freeze up just a tad bit. The snow sleet mixture underneath me is very, very crunchy. You might see and hear my feet. Let's go ahead and hear them. Very, very, very crunchy at this point. That's from that sleet we saw earlier, the freezing rain that's starting to build up on top of it. But the message that we've given you all day today is please be careful if you are out. You should be at home, but if you have to go out for any essentials, drive slowly, take your time, put your windshield wipers on, and don't be in a rush. We have seen a couple accidents here today from Charlotte, even northern up on I-77. So pump your brakes, slow down, and check yourself before you wreck yourself, no matter where you are at in our viewing area. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, toss it back to you all in the studio. For now, reporting live near Queens University, Courtney Cole, WBTV, on your side.
Yeah, Courtney, check yourself before you wreck yourself, quite literally, this afternoon. Thank you for that good reminder, no matter how humorous it was. Speaking of having fun and humor in the snow, we have some great video into our newsroom. This was taken by our managing editor, Michael Cable. He captured a video of his dog named Brutus. This is Brutus's first snow, so he was seeing snow for the first time. That is not my reaction to snow, but I'm glad Brutus is having some fun today. We have some more snow video out of Morganton this afternoon. Right now you can see the snow is covering the trees. You can see the water is pretty slushy there, if not frozen all the way now. Again, this is out of Morganton, and this was taken earlier today in Burt County. The iciness just covering the water there and those snow-covered limbs. We also saw snow plows in the area carving out a path for the few cars that are out there on the road. And goodness, that is a lot of snow in the area. We are seeing some very slick weather conditions in both North and South Carolina. Again, we want to check in with WBTV's Brandon Hamilton, who is at the state line on I-77. Brandon, you are seeing those cars behind you. How are conditions looking for them now?
Well, first, Maddie, I got to say, I'm quite a little jealous because this is about the only snow we've seen here. Not a lot, but as you just mentioned, those road conditions here on I-77, you're looking at those southbound lanes headed towards Rock Hill, the northbound lanes headed towards Charlotte. Thankfully, again, it looks like just saw you guys within the past 15 minutes ago. Thankfully, the traffic has remained the same. People taking that advice, staying off the roads, because again, it may look like that normal asphalt on the interstate, but we've seen accidents. We've seen people having to slow down. So stay off the roads unless you have to. But again, the advice from officials, if you have to get out, emergencies only, drive slow, take that caution to get to your destination. So again, what we've seen here at the border, at the Welcome Center, I did talk to a dad just a few minutes ago. They came and drove here to the border because the kids wanted to see the snow. So they had fun with those snowballs and just enjoying the moment. But reiterating again, you see the traffic behind me. If you have to come out, do it safely. If not, stay home on the couch, movies. Enjoy time with your family. Of course, we'll keep you updated how those conditions are here off the interstate. Reporting live in Fort Mill, I'm Brandon Hamilton, WBTV, on your side.
Brandon, thank you. We want to check in now in downtown Mooresville. They are seeing the ice conditions as well. WBTV's Nikki Hauser is there for us this afternoon. Nikki, what have you seen today so far?
Hello. Well, some exciting stuff here as well. You can see me making some of the first footsteps in the snow here. Definitely a good amount of accumulation here. Now, we've had a wintry mix here in downtown Mooresville. It started with sleet, then it went to rain. Now we see it's snowing. It's not too much, but we still have some snowflakes coming down. And you can see right here, let me show you, this is a good amount of snow that's come out and accumulated. It's a good, a couple of inches here. So we're definitely seeing it a lot right here, but a good thing, we're not seeing it as much on the roads. You just missed it. There have been a couple of snow plows coming through here, making sure that drivers have more room. And we've also seen a lot of these cars and trucks coming through this area, a lot of them being responsible, going slow. Some of them have been going faster than normal, and we've actually seen them swerve a little bit kind of a scary situation there. So if you are on the roads, keep that in mind. Stay safe, have fun, and if you're at home, that's good for you because we're really feeling the cold here. I have my fuzzy socks on, so if you're there, again, have fun, stay cozy and safe there. Live in downtown Mooresville, I'm Nikki Hauser, WBTV on your side.
Thanks for that report, Nikki. I can only imagine how cold it is out there. Of course, we've got the cold temperatures in the first place, thus all this wintry precipitation that we're seeing. But then you factor in those winds, and we've got those feels like temperatures in the 20s and the teens across the area. Still seeing some snow. In fact, I'm watching the time lapse right now out of Blowing Rock. This is from the Chitola Resort. We've had some snow, a little mix of sleet as well. And just over the past couple of frames, we're really starting to see the intensity of that pick back up once again. And certainly our mountain counties are where we've had reports of even over 6, 7, 8 inches of snow in some locations already today. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on those updated reports from the National Weather Service as time goes on. Just in case you missed it and are tuning in for now, I do want to talk about those temperatures and of course those icy conditions outside. Those are the two things that you're going to notice the moment you step outside. So again, probably a good call, just hang out indoors. It feels like 23 degrees right now in Charlotte, 26 in Rock Hill, 27 in Morganton, and 16 degrees in Boone. And this is why I'm showing you the wind gusts around the area. And we've had just shy of a 40-mile-per-hour wind gust reported in from Albemarle, 24-mile-per-hour winds gusting to there, almost 25 miles per hour in Charlotte, 30-mile-per-hour wind gust up towards Boone. So you get the picture there. It is windy, it is cold, and that's also allowed for issues because we've had some of that accumulating ice. And certainly when you have that accumulate, that really adds weight to your tree branches, to your power lines. We've got the gusty winds as well. So we do have just roughly 200,000 without power over North Carolina and South Carolina combined. So we have the winter storm warning that's still in effect in pink, and that's really for almost our entire area from the Charlotte metro up through the foothills and into the mountains. And that ice storm warning remains in place for our southernmost counties. They are shaded in blue, where ice really has been a big concern, especially earlier this morning. There's one last check there on the roadways in terms of your road conditions. We're still seeing lots of yellow and orange, lots of accident reports as well, and that's all because of the slowed conditions out on the roadways thanks to the ice and some of that snow that we had earlier this morning. But a check on radar and what we can expect going forward from here. I'm going to toss things over to meteorologist Alicia Wilson.
Thanks, Rachel. And we can see from our live reporting out in the field that we're still dealing with every precipitation type that you can imagine, from rain, freezing rain, sleet, and of course some snow, mainly in the mountains. Now, we're not done with this system yet. We still have the back edge of it still back off to our west. Once you get just to the east of Nashville, across Birmingham, on into Atlanta, that's where that area of low pressure is currently located. But every precipitation type now in our area, from rain stretching from Lancaster to Hamlet on into the Charlotte area, where we're still seeing that wintry mix of the sleet and some freezing rain farther towards the north. That's where it's still a mixture of some snow and some sleet. So we're not done yet. So even though this is falling as some rain, once it hits the surface, you're starting to see that freezing on contact there. And then we're starting to get more of a bit of a warm nose into the Charlotte metro area now. So that's why you're seeing a bit of green showing up on the map there. And farther towards the north, once you get into Watauga, Ashe, and Avery County, all white. This is indicating some snow, also some sleet mixing in at times. And that's what we expected with this storm system. But again, we still have about 5 to 6 more hours of dealing with this, as this back edge still has to come through. So even though the precipitation has become a little bit lighter, we stop the clock here at 5 o'clock. You can see that starts to switch back over to mainly some snowfall. That's going to be from Albemarle back into Concord and of course into the mountains. That's where you'll still be dealing with some light to moderate snowfall that's going to be hanging on right on through the overnight hours for tonight. So we're going to pick up an additional snowfall as well. So this is just a sneak peek as to what you can expect. We're still on track to pick up an additional, say, from 1/2 of an inch, possibly upwards of an inch of snowfall across our southeastern counties, and as much as about 5 more inches up into the mountainous locations as well. So we're on track to see anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of ice farther towards the north and west, and anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch of ice. And as you heard from the local officials, it's a good idea to stay off the roads, as we're still dealing with some gusty winds as well. Winds are going to be gusting anywhere from about 25 to 35 miles per hour for the first half of this afternoon. Then they'll start to relax a little bit as we head towards this evening around 7 o'clock. Winds just gusting anywhere from about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Now, future forecast temperatures, this is going to be very important. Right now, we're into the upper 20s and lower 30s, but look what happens later on this evening and tonight. Temperatures start to fall back down below that freezing mark. It's going to be gradual, but as they do, everyone will be getting some freezing temperatures by tomorrow morning. So where you see that, anything that's left out there will be refreezing on the roadways. So it's a good idea to stay off of them and let the crews get out there and just do what they need to do to keep you safe. Highs today, we've pretty much already reached those into the low to mid 30s. Later on tonight, we're expecting some mid to upper 20s. Let's check out your 7-day forecast, walk you through it real quick. We won't see this 42 until late tomorrow afternoon for the MLK holiday. Overnight lows continuing to be into the 20s, so that is why we're continuing with our first alert. And you can see as we jump ahead here towards the end of the week, we may be talking about doing this all over again with another chance for a wintry mix on Friday. But before that, at least we get to thaw out as temperatures climb into the 50s by the middle of the week on Wednesday with some peaks of sunshine as well. Now we're going to send it back over to Maddie and Maureen.
Thank you, Alicia. I'm Maureen O'Boyle, and we do appreciate you staying with WBTV for this first alert winter storm coverage. We have crews spread all across the WBTV viewing area to make sure that you know what the conditions are like right outside your window so you don't have to go on the roads. You're seeing gusty winds. We're seeing some rain freezing in the Charlotte area, but we will get all to that in just a moment. We're going to give an eye on the roads right now. This is a look at I-85. The major concern, of course, is ice, especially on side roads and in neighborhoods. Things are quiet out there. We were listening early to Mecklenburg County Emergency Services, and they were grateful to all of you who have decided to heed their warnings and stay inside instead of going out on the roads. They are slushy. They are icy in some of those flyovers and overpasses. You don't want to get out there in that. If you can stay home and stay cozy, enjoy what it looks like from our vantage points, because we're going to give you views all over the WBTV viewing area. And throughout the day, we have really seen some incredible video of snow falling in the mountains. This video captured by Jeff Beeson of Homeland Aerials. How cool is this? His drone giving us a magical perspective there. You can see the gazebo and the stars and stripes flowing in the wind, and that's going to be the issue. See the wind there. It really shows up from this drone video. The wind blowing some of that snow sideways throughout the day. And as these temperatures drop, the big concern, as our team of meteorologists has told you, this is going to be the issue of freezing rain on top of some of those branches. But what an amazing view. We have team coverage, of course, for you. We're always on your side. We've been preparing you for what to expect this weekend for several days now. Our team is spread out across the mountains, the foothills, and in Charlotte and South Carolina. We have been giving you a look at the snow and the ice so that you can be safe right there in the comfort of your own home. Right now, we want to take a live look at radar as we track some changes that are happening. This is what we predicted. The snow switching now to sleet and freezing rain. I drove to the station here in West Charlotte from Cotswold a short time ago, and it was raining, and then it turned to sleet, and then it was rain again. So we're getting a real mixture as we move into the afternoon hours. That's what we are concerned about. Our team of meteorologists has been working around the clock to make sure that you are safe and let you know what is going on. We're going to start with meteorologist Rachel Coulter. Now, you're going to zero in on what's coming down right now, Rachel. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, that's right. We've really seen a mix, just as you had mentioned, across the area. And this all started about 12 hours ago. It was overnight when many were asleep where we saw that leading edge of snow and a little bit of sleet mixed in our southernmost counties. It just continued to make progress off towards the north. And this is what we're seeing now. So we're still seeing mostly snow and some sleet mixed in as you travel up towards the mountains. We also do have some of that freezing rain, unfortunately, that's making its way through the Charlotte metro and points south and eastward. with lots of rain out towards the east coast of the Carolinas. So certainly an active day. It's going to continue to be that. And the unfortunate thing, and this is what we've been talking about over the past couple of days, is that even as this system exits off towards the north, the below freezing temperatures that we're going to be anticipating, especially through the overnight hours and into the morning hours, not only tomorrow morning, but continuing on into your Tuesday morning as well, it's going to allow for some ice out there, very slick conditions on your sidewalks, on your patios, and of course on the roadways as well. So that's what we're seeing right now. And of course, I want to talk about some of the snow reports that we've had come in so far since last night. We've had some locations out towards Burke County pick up about 7 inches of snowfall, Watauga County just shy of that, as 5.5 inches also out towards the Blowing Rock area. And of course, I've been watching Blowing Rock. This is your time lapse from the Chitola Resort, and there's more snow now. So we're still anticipating an increase not only in your snow totals going forward from here, but the potential for some additional ice as well, especially where we're seeing that in our central and southeastern counties. So there's the view there. I want to give you some perspectives on the roadways as well. There's the view on I-85 out towards Statesville. This was not too far from where a car had spun out earlier. There was an accident reported here. There's been several accidents, especially on your area interstates where cars may be traveling a little bit too fast. You see all of that orange and yellow on your screen and all of those accident markers there indicating where we have some slowed conditions due to the icy and snowy conditions that we've had out on the roadways so far. In fact, I'm going to overlay what we've been showing you on radar, but what's actually out on the grounds right now. What you see in pink, that's your icy roadways, and then what you see out towards the north and west in white, that's where we have certainly the snowy conditions that we've had. So zooming in a little bit closer, let me give you the perspective from the interstates. Zooming into I-77 at 277 or the Brookshire Freeway, that's what we see. And we've heard from our reporters all afternoon long, even if it looks okay out there in several locations, that doesn't mean it's actually going to be okay out on the roadways, because again, with those temperatures that are going to be below freezing, especially as we carry through the rest of the overnight period, we're going to have some icy spots out there.
Yeah, Rachel, all of us who had to come into the newsroom, we do know that some roads look good and they're okay, but then you will transition to an overpass or something like that, and it's not pretty, certainly not fun. Ice is nothing that you want to deal with. Right now, the WBTV news team has been monitoring what's going on the roads, and David Hodges joins us now live. And David, we heard from Mecklenburg County Emergency Management earlier today, and they sounded very grateful that people here in Mecklenburg County are heeding their advice to stay off the roads to give them plenty of space as they work to continue to clear the roadways.
That's right. Chief White Graham saw the same thing that I have so far today, and that's just that not that many cars are out on the road. I was over 485 right by Ray Road earlier, and there just is not that much traffic, and the plows and the brine seem to have been doing a pretty good job of actually keeping that roadway clear. However, there still have been some crashes. They say since midnight of today, there's been about 41 crashes, 16 of those involving injuries to people. That's about the same as an average during a weekday, a little bit above average on a weekend, but it's a number they want to stay low, and they say can stay low if you just decide to stay home. Now, there are some roads that are getting a lot of attention with the plows and the brine as well, but roads like this behind me, the side roads, side streets, not quite as much. You know, my car from a complete stop here could not make it up this incline. And so that's just some evidence, all the evidence you really need that maybe you should not take that car out and go driving. Now, one other thing to keep in mind too, because the roads are like this, it's difficult for me to drive on, it's difficult for you to drive on. It's also difficult for first responders to drive on, so they also wanted people to know that if you do have an emergency, if you have to dial 911 and you're waiting on first responders, it could take a little longer today because they have to navigate the same dangerous roads that anyone else would. So that will possibly impact their speed of response. The other thing they're really looking out for and crossing their fingers for so far is the possibility of refreezing. If that happens, that's when you can see the power outages. That's when you can see the black ice in the morning. I asked them specifically about that. They said they didn't really want to deal in hypotheticals. So here's to hoping that the weather doesn't continue to turn and make those conditions more dangerous across the Charlotte area. Reporting live in Ballantyne, David Hodges, WBTV, on your side.
Yeah, we certainly hope, David, that people do have their emergency kits put together in case power does go out. Right now, we're also monitoring snow and icy conditions this afternoon in downtown Monroe. Let's go to our Brian Stevenson there live. So, Brian, what does it look like there?
Well, Maureen, in some spots, it looks like kind of the winter wonderland. We certainly didn't get the snow that everyone in the western half of our viewing area got. Everything's kind of ice down here. I started out of my driveway this morning in Wingate, took 3 times to get up the driveway. Once I got out on the road, it was pretty tough to get around the town, but then once you get out on Highway 74, passable, but still really slick. Now you may see some of the white stuff behind me. That's just ice, nothing but ice here. I collected this just a few minutes ago. And so as you leave downtown, I went out to check on some power lines earlier. About a mile, 2 miles out, it starts deteriorating as far as you go. So the bottom line is stay home, listen to everybody. Heard a lot of first responders heading out to check on down trees, power lines around the county. And if they don't have to be out, then they can stay safe. So stay home and just enjoy sitting back watching this and watching the football in a little bit, and hopefully everybody will be okay. A lot of glazing on the trees here, but so far everything's pretty good in downtown Monroe. Maureen?
Brian, thank you. And we will be getting to football later, but right now we want to quickly show you the ice and conditions there in Mooresville. That's where we find WBTV's Nikki Hauser. Nikki, it looks beautiful when you're looking at it from this vantage point, but I know it's kind of icy there as well.
Right, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely picturesque with some of the snowflakes that are coming down. But yeah, again, we are seeing and expecting some ice to come in and solidify in the next couple of hours. But as you can see right now, a good amount of snow that we're seeing, a good couple of inches here in downtown. And as you can see, some also on the roads here. So not as much. You did miss a couple of these snow plows coming through, making sure that they gave more room to drivers. Again, it's a good thing you don't see a lot of drivers out here, because not only is the snow kind of making it a more difficult drive, but as we've all said, that black ice could set in a little bit later and might even be there now. So definitely something you want to make sure you're cautious about. We could see people going a little bit slower like these guys than normal. That's what you want to do. But again, experts are just saying stay home if you can. That's what everybody's saying, and it's the best advice that I can give you here. The only other change in just the last couple of minutes, we had some rain, then it turned to snow. Now we're feeling a little bit of sleet. It's actually solidifying in the air as it comes down. So we are going to keep an eye on these conditions. And again, the biggest thing I could say is if you're out here at all to play, to whatever, get your mittens on, get your hat on, put the fuzzy socks on and the coat. Everything is going to be much needed. This is as cold as it's been for a while. So definitely it's feeling like January right now, but I'll send it back to you guys live in downtown. I'm Nikki Hauser, WBTV. On your side.
Yeah, we are watching that temperature, Nikki, just hovering above freezing. Back here in Charlotte, we know this winter storm is impacting flights at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, and those impacts are affecting some of the passengers who were trying to get out of the Charlotte area, as they have now become stranded waiting for the storm to clear. One man says he's now tried to reschedule a flight out of Charlotte several times.
Tried to get a few extra flights. I had one for tomorrow morning. That one was canceled too. So I switched to tomorrow afternoon, and hopefully that one isn't canceled.
Oh, we hope not, because that can be so frustrating. As we've said, the majority of flights coming in and out of Charlotte Douglas now canceled. If you need more information about the status of a certain flight, be sure to check with your airline before you head to the airport. Going back to the North Carolina high country, this is more incredible drone video. Thanks to Jeff Beeson for sharing this with us. Once again, we are getting these amazing vantage points with drones right now. Jeff did a beautiful job. You can see the wind in this video, and it looks like a whiteout in some places. There you can see the Convocation Center in downtown Boone, where my daughter just graduated a short time ago in December. Sorry, I had to say that. This drone is just beautiful. We have really gotten so used to this because it was just a short time ago that we started getting these vantage points. We want to get another look at what the forecast looks down on the maps and dig into the forecast right now with Alicia Wilson. She is our meteorologist continuing our coverage. Alicia, you know, before we didn't get that vantage point from the drones, and it's cool to see. You also saw a lot of snow on the roadways there.
Absolutely. You know, it's been an interesting situation how this has just evolved since last night. We started to see that snow falling right around 2 o'clock or so. Then it started to lift farther towards the north. Now, I want to get you up to date on the latest update out of the National Weather Service. They just gave us an update on our winter storm warning and ice storm warning. So it's now going to go for all of the counties that you see shaded in the pink here until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And the ice storm warning for all of the counties that you see in blue, that's going to go into 1 a.m. So keep that in mind. We're still looking at treacherous travel conditions out there. Temperatures hovering right around or right above that freezing mark. This is in Charlotte. The winds are out of the west now at 5 miles per hour, but we have had winds occasionally gusting anywhere from about 25 to 35 miles per hour. Now the temperatures are well below the freezing mark once you get into Jefferson and Boone on into Lenore, where they're at 27. Along with Statesville as well. And of course, as we're starting to get just some slightly warmer temperatures pushing in from the southeast, that's where we're seeing those temperatures making it just slightly above the freezing mark, but they're going to be falling back down later on tonight. And of course, we're still not done with this system. I know the precipitation has become a little bit lighter, but that's going to be more on the way as they're getting the snow coming down across parts of North Georgia now at a pretty good clip. And the main storm system, or this area of low pressure, still remains back off towards our west. So it won't be until this gets completely out of the area that we'll be done with the precipitation. You can see the heaviest back towards our east once you get into Fayetteville and Raleigh. That's where they're dealing with some moderate to heavy rainfall. For us, it's tapered off to some sleet, some freezing rain, but there's going to be more. And we're starting to see now that sleet mixing in with the snow as well once you get into the mountains. But across the Charlotte metro area, where you're seeing these shadings of pink from Matthews to Indian Trail on into Mint Hill, it's also some freezing rain and sleet at times, and still more of some snow once you get into the mountains. So we're going to continue to see this off and on as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon, but still that back edge still has to come on through before it starts to lift towards the northeast and push on up the eastern seaboard. So here's how it's going to be breaking down over the next 24 to 36 hours. We'll stop it here at 6 o'clock this evening. More moderate snowfall expected in the mountains. We're even going to see some snow coming through Mecklenburg County, and it's just going to depend on how hard and how fast it comes down to how much we'll see in the way of additional accumulations. But you can expect more, especially into the mountains, and it starts to taper off even more as you head to bed later on tonight. So let's look at the potential additional snowfall totals. Of course, it's going to be highest into the mountains and fall off from there as you travel farther towards the southeast. So anywhere from about a trace amount to possibly or potentially upwards of about 2 more inches of snow will be possible. We'll keep a close eye on that. But of course, the major concern continues to be the ice impacts, because it only takes about 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation to cause trouble out there. And we've been doing well so far, it seems like, but we're still going to be focusing on this as we head towards the end of this event and temperatures start to take the tumble later on tonight into the 20s. Again, the winds are going to start to relax later on this evening and tonight. Even though we're getting those gusty winds right now, they're really going to be dying down later on this evening. So that's definitely good news. But what's not good news are the temperatures falling down around 7 o'clock this evening, 24 in Boone, and then some 30s headed your way once you get into Gastonia. And it just gets even colder from there. Around 4 a.m., everyone's into the 20s. And of course, it's going to be very chilly tomorrow morning. That's why we're continuing with our first alert. So keep that in mind. The rest of the day, we're already seeing our high temperatures right now. And later on tonight, everyone falling down into the 20s. We won't see any relief in the Piedmont until tomorrow afternoon. That's when we climb into the upper 30s and lower 40s out there. Plenty of sunshine headed your way on Tuesday with a high of 46. We make it up into the 50s on Wednesday, but check this out. We're looking at potentially another wintry system headed our way towards the end of next week, possibly on into Saturday. Of course, we'll continue to tweak the forecast for you, but first we'll just focus on the end of this event that we're still dealing with right now.
Alicia, you and the First Alert weather team have done an amazing job tracking this for us and getting us ready. And so have our reporters. WBTV's Lowell Rose is live right now in Hickory. And a short time ago, you were showing us some of the sleet on top of your car. What is happening there right now, Lowell?
Hey, well, things have calmed down since we last talked to you all. It's like fine snow and some little sleet mixed in. It is not windy at this moment, but what I do want to show you deals with this wind. This car right beside me, you can see how the snow and the sleet has kind of pushed over, and at moments when it wasn't snowing, the wind was at least keeping that snow up and blowing it around. But just to give you a sense of the texture here, it's not the best to make a snowball. The little balls there you can see from that snow have kind of taken over the snowpack here in Bowling Rock. But I'm going to give you a quick walking tour of the parking lot here at our hotel. We're staying put because the road conditions are not great right now. Although people are still out driving, the parking lot right here is pretty much snowpacked. There are a few inches here of snow, and pretty much the snow has only been packed down because of the cars going in and out here. But as we walk closer here to one of the secondary roads, the biggest thing you would notice, no plow has been on this road right here, but things are pretty packed from the cars going by. And if you just take a look under that sleet and snow, this is pretty hard. That's pretty hard stuff. So once nightfalls come, that will easily turn into ice. And again, right behind me, this is Interstate 40 through Hickory. Things have slowed down a lot through here over the past few minutes. There are a few cars coming our way. This is on the eastbound right here on Hickory. There are a few cars coming their way. We've seen a few plow trucks make their way through here, and on both sides here, spreading that salt and plowing the snow and things. And the road conditions, the conditions here as far as the snow, things have slowed down over the past few hours. They started picking up here around the 3 o'clock hour. The snow started accumulating around the 5 o'clock hour, and it changed over to sleet during the 9 o'clock hour. So just to give you a sense of the transition of what we've seen here, and it have stopped and gone back to sleeting. Right now, it's more of that sleet that's coming down, but we'll continue to keep you updated from our region on what's happening. Reporting live in Hickory, Lowell Rose, WBTV on your side.
Very nice demonstration there, Lowell, of what is underneath what looks like snow, and nice stuff is that really hard ice that can be so hard to drive on. We're going to take you now to the North Carolina high country where mostly snow has fallen. Our Liliana Pearson joins us now from Boone. Liliana, what are you seeing up there? They look like big chunky flakes. Is that what's happening, or is that sleet?
So this is actually sleet. I'm actually going to get a little bit closer to you because I think you might be able to see on my gloves here those little ice balls that are falling from the sky right now. You get a little bit of wind in there, and woo, you can definitely feel those things hit in your face. It's also made things pretty icy. So these cars that we've been parked in this parking lot all day long, you can see how much snow that's not coming off for a while. And it's also made the snow that was very light earlier in the day pretty decent pack and snow. So if you're needing to have a snowball fight, maybe get out and build a snowman, this is the time to do it, because the top snow is now pretty good packing snow. You can go ahead and take a look at the roads that we have over here. They've definitely been putting in work all day long, and we actually can see some people that are opting not to drive. Probably the better option right now, looking out on those roads. Those aren't roads that I would want to be on. They look pretty slick. We've seen at least one person today take a really big slide today. They were okay and they were able to keep going, but definitely slick conditions out here, especially with the sleet starting to come down. We heard Lowell talking about tonight, temperatures are going to get cooler. Anything that's melted today, it's just going to get icier. So make sure you're being safe. Stay inside is probably just going to be for the better. In Boone, I'm Liliana Pearson, WBTV on your side.
Liliana, thank you. And we now want to give you the vantage point from Beach Mountain Resort. It is incredible how much snow is coming down. Some people are out there braving these conditions and doing what they enjoy most, which is hitting the slopes. Everybody wants to have some snow, fresh snow to ski on, but I'm not sure what the conditions would be like if you were skiing on this. Boarders probably having a great time as well out there. This is a live picture. You can see the lift is working and people in line to hop on. So our resort cams take us there to Beach Mountain. Now to Blowing Rock. They are also seeing several inches of snow today. WBTV's Ron Lee has been there. And Ron, you are bundled up. I know it's got to be cold. What's coming down right now?
It's actually, conditions are deteriorating pretty quickly right now. About a half an hour ago, most of it kind of subsided, and we were getting those little ice pellets, those little burning ice pellets that when the wind hits you, it really kind of stings when it sticks in your skin. Right now, it's almost a blizzard condition, it feels like, because the snow is really starting to come down and compact what snow we already have. If you take a look at some video that I shot a little earlier, the roadways are still very treacherous out here. People at the hotel that I'm staying at are trying to get out, being drug out by trucks, but they're not even making it. Even these four-wheel drive vehicles are having a very difficult time trying to navigate the situation out here. So what a lot of people are doing is they're just having fun in the parking lot. Some fathers are actually teaching their kids how to ski. I saw a lot of people snow tubing, a lot of snowmen being made in the parking lot, but there's just no way you can get out right now. A lot of people at the hotel that I'm staying at are actually stranded until those plow trucks get here. Now, of what I understand, I just talked to a driver and he tells me that the roadways that the plows have gone through are actually looking pretty good. He got it up to about 50 miles an hour. Obviously, we don't suggest that. That's very dangerous, but he said that when he hit the area when the plow did not make it, he had to shut it down to about 15 miles an hour. He said it was like night and day between Blowing Rock and Boone. That's a very dangerous situation right now, and a lot of drivers just aren't prepared for that changeover, or where the plows have been able to get in and where they have not. Well, we're going to stay on scene, give you a lot more information on this developing story, because this is something that affects all of us. Reporting from Blowing Rock, I'm Ron Lee, WBTV. On your side.
Ron, thank you so much for that. And you've got to keep in mind what Ron said is that the visibility, it's really like a kind of a whiteout blizzard-like conditions. This is a live picture from our HD tower cam, and you cannot see much of uptown Charlotte. A little bit there of 277 on the bottom of your screen, but most of the Queen City just shrouded in these heavy clouds. That's why so many flights have been canceled out of Charlotte Douglas International Airport, at least through today. These conditions will stay like this. We are watching these changeovers throughout the day, and that's why it's really important to keep the WBTV First Alert Weather Team on and on your phone. And make sure that you do have your phone charged, by the way. Our Brandon Hamilton joins us now live. He is at the North-South Carolina border there. Brandon, you've been out there for quite some time today. You're near I-77. What are you seeing? Is traffic slow, or are you seeing people out braving the conditions?
So, Maureen, a mix of both. Thankfully, traffic is going slow, so drivers are taking that advice. If you just don't have to get out, do not get on those roads. But we have seen, again, as you can look over my shoulder right now, we have seen cars coming in and out. Now, here at I-77, at the Welcome Center on the Fort Mill, South Carolina side, we are looking at those southbound lanes. On the other side, those northbound lanes headed to Charlotte. Drivers taking warning, again, staying off those roads. But as we get closer to the sun coming down, that it is, like Rachel and Alicia alluded to, we are worried about the ice that is hitting these roads. So again, driving this home, while these roads may look clear, while the snow on the ground here, at least on the South Carolina side, is not as thick as other areas, that threat of what is on the road is still there. So again, that advice, if you have to get out, just make sure it's for emergencies only, because these road conditions will probably deteriorate as, again, that sun starts going down and just that wintry mix keeps coming down. And so within the past couple minutes, since the last time we saw you in the 3 o'clock hour, this freezing rain has started to pick up. So we're not in the clear. So again, repeating this over and over and over. If you do not have to hit this highway, stay home, enjoy the time with your family. But for me, as a native Floridian Marine, I am enjoying seeing this snow because, growing up, didn't see a lot of it. So, of course, we'll keep you updated on those road conditions. For now, reporting live in Fort Mill, I'm Brandon Hamilton, WBTV on your side.
And you are allowed to enjoy it since you've been braving these conditions all day long. Brandon, thank you. We want to give you another live look this afternoon. The shot taken from the Freedom Boat Club in Lake Norman. You can see a lot of those boats covered and snow on top. It's a beautiful shot, especially if you are inside and warm. Doesn't look like anybody is going to be out there on the lake today. Probably a very good idea. Conditions really not favorable favorable for much of anything except staying inside and staying with WBTV. Right now, our team of meteorologists has been working around the clock to help you know what is going on. And we want to get another update because we've seen this system. It's hovering for about 20 hours and it keeps changing as far as snow or sleet. Let's get to Rachel Coulter with the very latest. Rachel?
Yeah, that's right. We have been dealing with this wintry precipitation for a very long time. It started when a lot of us were actually asleep overnight last night. Roughly around 1-2 o'clock, we started to see that band start to move in of snow and even a little bit of that wintry mix. And our southernmost counties made progress off towards the north, and it is still snowing in some of our mountain counties. We have that sleet mixed in as you work your way down into the foothills. And then, of course, that freezing rain is a big concern for us here in the Charlotte metro area, and those temperatures just above freezing in some of our far southeastern counties like Wadesboro, Monroe, down towards the Chesterfield area. I do want to talk about Blowing Rock, though, because it's still snowing there. In fact, Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin just sent the team an update with a report out of Blowing Rock of about 12 inches of snow. Not surprising, especially since that is still coming down at this time, and that visibility is low. So you've got the snow-covered roads, the low visibility concerns out towards the mountains, and then the rest of us, of course, those icy conditions on the roadway. So whether you've seen accumulating snow or accumulating ice today, it is going to be very hazardous out on the roadways. In fact, this view right here, this is I-85, pretty close to Statesville, and you can certainly see the roadways with that slushy, icy look to them, but also on the tower cam. The reason I wanted to point out this DOT camera is because you can see the raindrops that have frozen to that camera lens, and that's a good indication of what we're expecting out there. It may look like it's raining in some locations, but because of those temperatures, it's all freezing on contact. And so that's what's such an issue for us as we continue on from here, and we are still seeing some of that precipitation. In fact, the visibility, as Maureen had pointed out just a few moments ago, that Charlotte pretty low at this point. And of course, your temperatures, and feels like temperatures anywhere from the 30s to the 20s to the teens. So I know our reporters are cold out there. We definitely appreciate them reporting on this winter storm for us so that we can get a perspective of the roadways. I think that's really helpful to show just how dangerous it can be out there with these slick roads. And of course, I've been monitoring all the accidents as well. Continue to see lots of people sliding out on the interstates, causing some issues, and they're having to take care of that. So please be cautious if you have to get out on the roads. Otherwise, we of course advise you to stay home. And the National Weather Service has extended this winter storm warning through the overnight hours for all shaded in pink. And then of course, we have that ice storm warning as we go into the overnight hours as well for our southernmost counties at this point. I do want to show you kind of the concerns that we have going forward from here, especially after sunset. It's amazing how quickly, even if roads look okay right now in some locations, that's not everywhere, but I know in some locations think, okay, maybe we're all right. But once that sun goes down, black ice is going to become a very, very big concern. And of course, it's already icy. And keep in mind, because those temperatures will be below freezing, it's going to be very, very cold as well. So we're just going to want to make sure we're bundled up. The wind isn't helping anything. We could still see some additional power outages as well. So if you are listening in right now and maybe you have a low charge on your phone, I'll go ahead and just start charging up those electronics just in case you end up losing power, because that's certainly a possibility going forward. Some scattered power outages from here still possible. There's a look at those road conditions. You can see lots of yellow and orange. It is certainly hazardous out on the roadways in many locations, from the mountains to the foothills and of course through the Piedmont region. The reason for that, all this wintry precipitation, and of course our own meteorologist Alicia Wilson is also in the Weather Center with the latest look at what we're seeing out there.
Thanks, Rachel. That's right. Just to reiterate, we still have the winter storm warnings in effect for all of the counties that you see shaded into the pink until Monday morning at 8 o'clock. And of course, the ice storm warning continues for all of the counties that you see shaded in the blue right on up through 1 a.m. Boy, the visibility sure is low out there as we look at the current conditions across the Charlotte metro area. This temperature of 33, this is going to be with us for the next several hours here. It won't be until after 7 o'clock that we start to see the temperatures back down below the freezing mark. So just keep that in mind as we go throughout the rest of this afternoon and evening. But we're sitting at 33 right now. Some of us farther towards the south and even towards the south and east are right at that 32-degree mark, like at Lancaster and Chester. You're sitting right at 32. So that's where you're getting some of that freezing rain, and where Ron Lee is. God bless him. He's out there dealing with those raw conditions. It's cold and that snow is coming down again. They're into the mid to upper 20s right now. So we're not done yet. We still have our area of low pressure back off to our west. It's making its way across the parts of Alabama and Atlanta as well, where they're getting some snowfall across the Atlanta metro area. Until we see the back edge of this system exiting the area, we're still going to see the chance for some additional snowfall. So even though the precipitation has become a little bit lighter later on this evening and tonight, we're still going to potentially see some additional snowfall and sleet totals and even some freezing rain as well. So it's starting to go into a bit of a lull right now, especially farther towards the south. But in Charlotte, in and around Charlotte, you're still getting more of that wintry mix. And farther towards the north, it's all pink there from Cornelius on into Huntersville. So you're seeing the sleet. But if we take it back up towards the mountains, that's where it's really coming down. And you saw that in Ron Lee's live shot there. So you're not done yet, especially in the mountains and the foothills where we're expecting the highest totals of snowfall. It's still going to be coming down well through tonight on into early Monday morning. So let's walk you through future forecasts here real quickly, where you're seeing the darker shadings of the lavender or the purple. That's where that moderate to heavy snowfall is going to be coming down and slowly working its way farther towards the northeast. In Charlotte, you'll get a brief break. It'll taper off to a few flurries, but the big thing is that the temperatures begin to fall. We're going to see this wintry mix switching over to all snow. So you remember how we talked about it would start out as snow, go over to a wintry mix, then back over to snow. That's how it's going to be panning out later on tonight and early Monday morning. So here's the potential additional snowfall total that we could see, anywhere from a trace amount upwards of an inch across our far southern locations in around the Charlotte metro area. You could see an additional 1 to 2 inches of snowfall, and farther towards the north into the mountains and the foothills, that's where you could potentially pick up an additional 4 inches of snow. And you saw there, as Rachel mentioned, Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin already showed us that they've picked up a foot of snow in those locations. And of course, the big concern continues to be the ice accumulations. And we're still on track to see anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch of ice. And as we've repeated over and over again, you know that can cause some problems as well. And the low visibility, that will be a problem on into the evening and early morning hours of your MLK holiday. So let's talk about when we'll see some melting. 40s late tomorrow afternoon for the Piedmont locations, mountains not so much, and some 50s by the middle of the week. I know everyone will be looking forward to that.
Alicia, thank you. And you mentioned the ice being an issue. That is a developing story right now. Power outages across our viewing area. Tens of thousands of people without power right now. Maddie Gardner is live in the WBTV News Now desk, keeping close tabs on outages and efforts to get power restored. This is a brutally cold day to not have the heat on, Maddie.
It absolutely is, Maureen. We actually just got some new numbers from Duke Energy. Right now, 102,000 customers in both North and South Carolina are without power. We'll take a look now at their live updating outage map in both Carolinas, and you can see those numbers are starting to tick up a little bit, but still not what they expect. Initially, Duke Energy said that they were expecting about 750,000 customers to lose power in this storm. It's why they called in more crews from along the eastern seaboard. 11,000 response workers from Duke Energy heading toward our area to respond once the lights go out. They are worried about that ice. As you mentioned, 1/4 of an inch can start bringing down tree limbs. 1/2 an inch can start to bring down power lines. Now, just in Mecklenburg County alone right now, 4,500 customers without power, 58 active outages. And we heard from Mecklenburg County Emergency Services that most of those outages were concentrated into southern Mecklenburg County. They are saying that right now it is manageable, but Duke Energy also reminding us that if the storm is still going through, if we are still seeing that freezing rain and sleet come down, that they really can't get out there and do much about the power outages. So just to be patient, and they're going to do as much as they can to get the lights back on. Always reminding you that we have this live update outage map on our website, WBTV.com. You can get real-time updates in both North and South Carolina. We know that these conditions change quickly, so we have all of the numbers there, not just for Duke Energy, but for all of the cooperatives that provide power to the Carolinians, both north and south. I do want to reset quickly now because part of the fun of the snow day is seeing your pictures, and we are starting to get more of those right here on WBTV.com. In our weather section, you can submit your first alert weather photos. We are seeing this snow in Enochville. A lot of people sledding earlier this morning when it was still powdery and not as icy as it is out there now. This is also from Enochville, the river there coming through. You can see that people are also tweeting at us using the hashtag snow WBTV. You just share the W in snow with the W in WBTV. We can see your photos. Loving it out here in Sawmills, they said. And take a look at this video from Mount Holly. People having some fun. Now, this is not what I would put on in the snowstorm, but clearly this swimmer has some practice here, doing somewhat of a polar plunge for us and tagging us in that video. Fun stuff happening here, and I love this one. The kids out there in the sled having some fun this morning. Remember, you can continue to share those pictures with us, use our hashtag, or you can also submit them on the WBTV weather app. We encourage you to download it, Maureen. Like we've been saying, it's not only a place to submit photos, but you can also get the latest updates sent directly to your phone as this winter storm continues to impact the Carolinas. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Happy to see those people who got a chance to be out there and enjoying it. Maddie, thank you. We are following some breaking news right now. CityLink's Gold Line service suspended for the rest of the day because of the ongoing winter storm. If you take the Gold Line, you'll have to think about another way of getting around today. As we've mentioned all day, the best thing for everyone to do is stay home if you can, because road conditions really aren't pretty and they are taking it seriously. They are canceling CityLink's Gold Line service for the rest of this Sunday. In the last hour, we heard from Mecklenburg County on road conditions and emergency shelters opening. Here is some of what they had to say.
With respect to everything that's been said with as far as response times and safety on our roadways, I do want to remind everybody that CMPD, just like our other partners within Charlotte-Mecklenburg Emergency Management, are fully operational. Our men and women are doing a great job to deliver service at the highest level as we do 24/7, 365. No matter what the conditions are, we will always meet that need and strive to meet the community's needs in that way. I would like to remind everybody, if you do see a blue light or red light or a medic truck or a fire truck or a police car anywhere on the roadway, to please slow down and to move over, obviously for the safety of the men and women out doing work. The wrecks, the crashes that we've had in the past since midnight early this morning, we're at 41 crashes so far. 25 of those have been property damage only. 16 of those have involved personal injury. That's about typical for a normal weekday, so a little high obviously for the weekend. But to echo, I believe, Chief Graham's point, we do appreciate people staying off the roadways, heeding those warnings, and certainly allowing our DOT trucks to do their jobs and to clear those roadways. As far as using 911, we would please encourage folks to, we are fully staffed in 911 in our communications bureau, just like on the streets. But we would encourage people to reserve those for actual emergencies when that is appropriate. So.
Hearing there from CMPD reiterating what we've been passing along all day. They're asking you to stay off the roads so emergency officials can be out there and not run into any situations. And of course, they're concerned about the conditions and driving there. We've been taking you all across the WBTV viewing area. Right now, we want to go live to Mooresville, where Nikki Hauser has been out there in the snow all day. Nikki, we saw a few cars driving by you a short time ago. What are the conditions like there, and is it sleet still, or has it turned back to freezing rain?
What's coming down right now, I think, is sleet. But again, like you said, it's really been changing. It's really been a wintry mix. But I want to show you this. It says let it snow. And downtown Mooresville, you definitely got your wish. I mean, take a look at this. We've got a ton of snow on the sidewalk here. This is nice packing snow. Very exciting. So if anybody wants to have a snowball fight here, I am ready for you. But I want to take you over here too. We can see a speed limit 25, but you can see some of these cars going a little bit slower than that. So definitely a good thing. We're giving a thumbs up to some of these cars that you can see here who are making sure they're being responsible. Again, experts are saying, if you don't have to be on the roads, don't be on them. And if the roads are one reason that you're staying at home, good for you. Another reason should be these temperatures. I mean, it is definitely a little cold out here, and with the wind coming through, you could definitely feel it a little bit more. So we are keeping an eye on these conditions. It is changing every hour, but right now, yeah, a little bit of sleet, but not too bad out here in downtown Mooresville. Live here, I'm Nikki Hauser, WBTV, on your side.
Yeah, and as we heard, Nikki, this was about an hour ago, and CMPD already had 16 transports of people injured in accidents on the roadways. We want to take you live right now because we are monitoring road conditions. Here's a live look from I-85 northbound. Visibility is becoming a major issue. It looks as though we do have a DOT truck there on the left side of your screen. They have put down, at least as of last night at 11, 2.5 million gallons of brine. Now, that was just to get the roads ready for what was coming. Now they're actually trying to move some of that snow and sleet off the roadways, but they have to do their jobs, and that's why they're asking you to stay out of the way. I noticed on my drive-in on 277, there is a sign out there that you should stay off the roads, and if your car does conk out or you spin out, it will be immediately towed because DOT crews need to stay on top of this, especially on the flyovers and those overpasses. Those are icy right now. Again, I-85 northbound. This is mile marker 44. We see some people on the roads, but we just saw what looked like a 3-member crew out there working to get at least part of those lanes clear. Here is another look. WBTV photojournalist John Sparks is live behind WBTV's behind the wheel of a WBTV vehicle. You can see roads that usually have 2 lanes are basically down to 1. And some of those areas are very slushy. As our temperatures drop, you keep hearing our meteorologists say that slush will quickly turn to ice. It doesn't matter how much experience you may have driving through snow. Driving through ice is very different. You cannot control even a 4-wheel drive vehicle. Ice is unforgiving, and that is why we keep reminding you what our first responders are begging you to do. Stay home. Only in emergencies should you leave. Again, this is a live look in Charlotte. We're going to show you one of those situations where this is a 4-wheel drive and it was sliding all over the roadway earlier today. This Jeep fishtailing down Ballantyne. It is not easy to drive in that. A lot of people think that they know what they're dealing with when it comes to snowy conditions. I've heard a couple of people joking that they're from the north, but you know what? We don't have as many trucks and as many brining trucks to keep on top of this. That's why they're going to really only start working on side roads once the storm has passed. So neighborhoods, you really can't get out of some of our hilly neighborhoods. So that is going to be a reason to stay inside. Right now, we're also monitoring snow and ice conditions in downtown Monroe. WBTV's Brian Stevenson has been there. And Brian, it was kind of quiet when you were out there earlier today, and you were reiterating that the roads were not too busy, which is good.
Yeah, that is good news, and kind of a mix of good news, bad news right now here in Monroe, Maureen. Right now, the city of Monroe has done an excellent job here on Jefferson Street. You can see it's pretty clear, passable even. And even where I'm standing, we've seen some melting. I'm standing in a little bit of a puddle right now. That's the good news. The bad news is In a few hours when the temperature drops back down, it's going to be a mess out here because a lot of slick spots you can see. Even though some of the ice is off the road now, there's still water standing on the roads. So that's going to be a big time issue. Another piece of good news, some of the limbs I've seen around here in this area a little bit earlier, and there goes the truck showing off here in the snow and ice, but a little bit earlier I saw the limbs kind of sagging when the ice was getting kind of heavy on those. That has seemed to maybe go away a little bit. I've seen those kind of perk back up, some of the icicles dripping now, so that's a good sign. So hopefully they won't fall on power lines and get us without power down here. So that's kind of the latest from here. Good news right now, but still stay home, stay in, and enjoy the evening.
Brian, thank you, and get out of that puddle. Make sure you keep your feet dry in these conditions. We thank you for that live report. Just a few hours ago, North Carolina's governor updated the situation statewide. Here is some of what Governor Roy Cooper told us.
North Carolina is now feeling the effects of a winter storm that'll continue to move through the state today. As much as 8 to 12 inches of snow has fallen in some counties, and significant icing is causing trouble in the central part of the state. Conditions vary across North Carolina and are dangerous in many areas. Utility companies are working to open up a short section of I-95 in Robeson County that's been closed because of a low-hanging, ice-covered power line. Currently, traffic is moving through a short detour. There have already been a number of wrecks on our roads, and we'll have some specifics about that in a minute. For today, the best way to avoid a car accident or getting stranded is to stay put. Fewer people on the road means fewer car crashes. Plus, it allows highway crews and utility workers to get faster results.
You heard the governor talking about a down power line, and we cannot reiterate this enough. If you see a line down, just presume that it is energized. Do not try to do anything with moving it out of the way. Right now, the WBTV News team is monitoring ongoing road conditions. Our David Hodges joins us now live. So set the scene for us there, David.
Yeah, the roads are still a little bit treacherous. You can still see they're covered with sleet, a little bit of getting a little wet, a little bit of that snow, that mixture, that whatever it is, that what I saw earlier was causing Jeeps and other cars to spin out, especially on overpasses. Earlier, I was right on 485 where the Elm Lane passes over it, and I saw a Jeep spinning out of control on that, so you want to really be careful when you're doing that. I do want to reiterate something that Brian was just talking about, though. I have noticed that the branches behind me, some of the leaves that were once coated in some ice, they are starting to melt a little bit, which is good news. So you hope that they don't freeze too much, get too much ice accumulation on them, and then fall down on those power lines, causing those outages. You know, this is that truck or that Jeep I saw earlier that was spinning out. Maybe a little bit of fun, but also a little difficulty of getting control that we saw earlier there today. 485 was actually looking in pretty decent shape. You know, that's a road that people stereotypically know where drivers are going fast, sometimes dangerously so. I did not see much traffic out there, a car passing every once in a while, and most of them going a relatively good speed. Over by Ray Road, where there was that recent fatal accident, and there's also some construction, I did see some cars as they were exiting actually hit a little bit of that sleet and kind of push it up a little bit, so people were being extra cautious when they were taking those exits and having to slow down a little bit. But the big important thing really is to just stay off the roads and let us do the reporting for you. Reporting live in Ballantyne, David Hodges, WBTV, on your side.
Very well said, David. We want to go now to WBTV's Brandon Hamilton, who is there at the North-South Carolina border. What is happening there, Brandon? We had a little bit of sleet a short time ago. I-77 there in South Carolina, North Carolina. How does it look?
Maureen, we've been saying it all afternoon. Thankfully, it seems like people have taken that advice, and that advice, again, is to stay off the roads, only getting on the roads unless you have to if it's an emergency. Again, we're here. You're looking at I-77 as this semi drives by. These are the southbound lanes headed towards Rock Hill. On the other side, we see a trooper on the side and cars going that way north towards Charlotte. See some cars with snow on top. Thankfully, for the most part, everyone driving at a safe distance, driving slow, because again, what we're getting here on the Fort Mill, South Carolina side is that wintry mix with mostly freezing rain. So as it starts to get dark, can expect these roads, again, while it looks fine right now, concerned about the ice on the road. So again, repeating this over and over and over as you take a look again, the snow that's on the ground, not a lot, but again, that freezing rain. So repeating it, if you don't have to get on the road, stay home. I did talk to a father just about over an hour ago who told me he brought the kids here to the Welcome Center because they just wanted to get out and see that fun. So it is a fun day, playing in the snow, being around the family. But again, stay home if you don't have to. As David Hodges just said, stay home, let us do the reporting, and we will, of course, keep you updated. Reporting live in Fort Mill, Brandon Hamilton, WBTV, on your side.
Brandon, we do want to share some video of people enjoying this. This is a dog. This is a dog, Axel. Lydia sent it to us. She's there enjoying the snow, playing there. Dogs just freak out for it, don't they? Just as much as kids, I think. So much fun. Axel playing in what was, at that time when she sent it, was powder. And as Maddie Gardner said a moment ago, use the hashtag SnowBTV, SNOWBTV, and that hashtag gives us permission to share it here on air, and that is how we will find your amazing videos. Some of you might be taking the time to go outside of your home and spend time in the snow. This is from our chief photographer, Corey Schmidt. He went out with the kids to enjoy 2 inches of snow they saw today. This is in Concord. They're adorable. Corey, of course, he's got his GoPro going, and man, that was a good sledding hill. Yes. And having the comfort of dad right there to protect you if you blow out there on the hill. Adorable. Corey, thank you as always for showing great video to us, and your kids are always amazing. SnowBTV, that is what we want you to use. Going to Huntersville now, J.M. Alexander Middle School football field covered in snow. Anytime you want to send us video, you can. New video now from Huntersville. Our anchor Dee Dee Gatton sent this a short time ago. It is a mess out there. It looks quiet though, which is always a great idea. When we see quiet on the roadways, that means you guys are heeding the warnings from our first responders. Meteorologist Rachel Coulter joins us now. Earlier in the day, Rachel, it was great to have fun out there in the snow, but it's kind of changed over.
Yeah, that's right. And some of that glaze of ice that we've had in many locations now allowing some of that powdery snow, maybe some of the crunchier snow. You can kind of hear your steps as you step out there. And that's not good news, because overnight tonight, even if conditions seem okay in some locations, and especially in our southeastern counties where temperatures are just above freezing temporarily, overnight tonight, those temperatures go right back below freezing, and anything that's left over on the ground, that's going to be freezing over, and we're going to have to watch out for black ice on sidewalks, on your driveways, on your patio. So think about things that you're going to be doing tomorrow morning, maybe walking the dog, just going to get mail, those types of things in the morning. I know tomorrow will be a holiday, but we're still going to want to make sure that we are being cautious, not only on the sidewalks, but on the roads as well. We're still seeing some snow in some locations. I've been showing y'all this view from Blowing Rock here over the past hour and a half or so, just because you can get a really good look at the time lapse of the snow that's continuing to impact the area. Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin had sent an email to the team with a really good report of about 12 inches so far there, about 8 inches coming in out of the Morganton area. So we're still seeing this wintry precipitation, visibility very low. That's technically Charlotte. You wouldn't be able to tell that visibility is that low at this time. You can barely even make out uptown Charlotte. But of course, this is doing a number on the roadways. I want to show you where we're seeing some issues where we have the snow and sleet to the north and west. You can see I-40 looking pretty rough off towards the south and east. Of course, the Charlotte Metro looking rough as well. And one of the hot spots for issues that I just continue to see accident reports coming in of disabled vehicles and people spinning out is I-85. That's out towards Statesville Avenue, and it's easy to see why we're seeing these issues. Alicia Wilson.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, today has just been one of those days, but we see people like Corey out there having so much fun. It's nice to see, just diving right in head first. Hey, we're going to see our temperatures kind of seesawing back and forth between that 32-degree mark and 33 until we get after sunset, when we fall down into those upper 20s and lower 30s. Still got those ice storm warnings and winter storm warnings in effect, but this storm is not just impacting us. It's going to be stretching all the way up the eastern seaboard. So we'll continue to see this area of low pressure zipping on off towards the northeast. We're seeing a bit of a lull in the precipitation right now, but it's going to be moving back in as we head through this evening and the overnight. A closer look there across the Charlotte metro area. You can see that it's kind of tapered off just a little bit, but it's going to be picking back up, and we're seeing some heavier amounts of snowfall right now from Boone on into Linville, and that's where you're going to see the highest totals. So again, we're not done yet. There's a bit of a lull right now, but once that back edge gets on through here, we'll start to see a little bit more precipitation headed our way. We'll take you on through here through Futurecast, and you can see how this is going to evolve with the heaviest snowfall amounts still pushing through the mountains, but this all starts to wrap up early tomorrow morning, and that's when we'll start to briefly warm up, so to speak, across the Piedmont. So anywhere from a quarter of an inch to a half an inch of ice will be possible, and you'll see some additional snowfall amounts across the mountains as well. Let's check out that all-important 7-day forecast here. We're going to make it above the freezing mark across the Piedmont as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Some 40s headed your way. Overnight lows, they're still going to be sub-freezing into the 20s, and it's towards the middle of the week that we start to see those temperatures climbing into the 50s. And you know what? I don't like to go too far ahead, but we could be doing this all over again by the end of next week on into the weekend. But let's just focus on tonight and tomorrow morning.
And getting through
Get through this.
And one thing you want is the WBTV First Alert weather app on your phone. Make sure you are charging your devices because you can stay on top and you can watch us live. We'll be breaking in on our weather app and on WBTV.com to share with you from the News Now desk what is going on during tonight's football coverage. So don't worry, football games won't be interrupted, but we do want to continue to follow the storm. You guys have done a great job today. This has been an evolving situation that you have covered beautifully, as well as our reporters. What I can't believe is how great it is to see that you guys are heeding the warnings and not going out on the roads.
And I think that's keeping a lot of those issues at bay, especially with the accident reports, everything like that. So be careful tonight, especially that black ice overnight.
Yeah, so stay inside if you can. Hopefully everybody's got some hot chocolate.
Oh, that sounds good.
And stay warm and look out for your neighbors and bring those pets inside. Of course, we're always on your side at WBTV.com. Thanks for being here.